Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at the 10 best Batman Arkham boss fights.
You made me miss my target, Batman!
The Batman Arkham games have been known to feature some of the best boss fights we've seen in video games. These are the ones that have let us feel like the Dark Knight and have stuck with us all these years later. By the way, we're going to mention plot points, so if for some reason one of y'all has not played these games, here's your spoiler warning. Which boss fight was your favorite? Did it make the list? Share with us in the comments below.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Deathstroke, Batman Arkham Origins. Arkham Origins is widely considered to be the black sheep of the franchise just because of how different it is. For instance, boss battles were designed primarily to teach the player the different mechanics. One such boss fight that did this was the one against Deathstroke. Whereas most would claim, oh, it's just a fight with a ton of button mashing, well, okay, fair enough, but the fight does an excellent job at telling the player to get used to countering, to not be afraid of playing defensively in some situations. Plus, the overall presentation of the fight is pretty cool for what it is. Deadshot, Batman Arkham City.
You made me miss my target, Batman!
Just an FYI, you're going to see Arkham City a handful of times on this list, so fair warning. While Arkham City managed to pack in several of the Dark Knight's most notorious enemies into this game, Deadshot turned out to be a surprising treat. After a few occasions of finding bodies dead from seemingly impossible shots, you finally come toe-to-toe with the grungy assassin himself.
Where have you gone, Batman? Are you too scared to face me?
Deadshot proves to be one hell of a shot too, as he'll fire lethal rounds if you're out in the open for even more than a second. Tread lightly and stay close to the shadows, and you'll take him down no problem. Solomon Grundy, Batman Arkham City.
Christened on Tuesday, married on Wednesday.
For a goblin-like old man, Penguin always manages to have a few tricks up his sleeve, and this trick was one that actually excited us. After a very brief brawl with Cobblepot, Batman falls into a pit and is met with a familiar zombified face. The poor man who was born on a Monday, Solomon Grundy.
Enough with the bloody explosives! I mean it! No! What the hell are you doing?
Grundy throws a handful of different attacks at you, forcing players to hone their evasion and quickfire gadget skills. The brawl also holds up visually well between the lighting and visual effects, especially when you're playing on the Return to Arkham remaster. Bane, Batman Arkham Origins. Oh, the fire rises! No, I promise you, he doesn't sound like that at all. If the fight against Deathstroke is about teaching the player the basic fundamentals of countering, the fight against Bane is about balancing. Throughout this battle, players quickly realize that there's no room for combos built on basic attacks.
Let us see what.
Bane will ignore your punches and deal devastating blows if you're not careful, so you'll only have enough time to land a punch or two before you need to counter. It also provides great practice in using Batman's stun abilities, which makes Bane a far better opponent here than his basic and uninspiring duel in Asylum. Firefly, Batman Arkham Knight.
You're going back to jail, Lynn.
Scarecrow promised me Gotham. Tinder for my flame.
You know, I'll be the first to admit, I and some of us here at MojoPlays, we give a lot of crap to Arkham Knight. And its occasional reliance on the Batmobile, you know, can you really blame us? But this encounter with Firefly was actually pretty sweet. As you explore Gotham and track down Scarecrow, you'll occasionally come across burning buildings. Upon reaching them, Firefly will appear and attempt to flee the scene. This is where your in-game driving skills will be put to the test, as you'll have to nail tight corners and boost around just to catch up with Firefly. Besides, after seeing him teased a few times in previous games, it was nice to see our favorite arsonist not only be stapled to Origins.
No! Gotham! Must burn!
Clayface, Batman Arkham City.
I give you Clayface!
For a good chunk of Arkham City, we were wondering what was happening with Joker. What, he was deathly ill and now he's just better all of a sudden? Something wasn't adding up. Then we went to the Monarch Theater, and holy shit, were we in for a cool boss fight. Big and blobby Clayface was in cahoots with the clown this entire time. And now it was time to whoop ass as Batman with a sword. Well, ice grenades for most of the fight, but still, you get to use a sword. For a final boss fight, this was a far better climactic fight than we were expecting. Poison Ivy, Batman Arkham Asylum.
I was a fool. I thought the plants were in pain. Now I realize they were evolving, growing stronger.
Ivy doesn't do a lot of fighting in the Batman Arkham games. A lot of talking, not so much fighting. But when she took over the entire Arkham Island in the first game, it was time to throw down. And she really put up a fight. As expected, Ivy fights from within the safety of a giant plant monster while using thorny vines, acid, and hypnotized henchmen and guards to pressure us. It's a battle that can easily overwhelm you as she mixes up her patterns and speeds up her attacks. Damn, babe! Chill! We care about the Earth just as much as you do? Let off! Ra's al Ghul, Batman Arkham City. Much like Clayface, our duel with Ra's al Ghul gets a nod specifically for its place in Arkham City's narrative. The leader of the League of Assassins thrusts you into a world where Gotham is destroyed, and flooded by a lot of sand for some reason.
You cannot beat us!
Between the flashes of reality and apocalyptic fantasy, the fights against Ra's and his army of sand people, and the epic finale against a giant sand version of the Immortal Man, it's a lengthy multi-phase boss battle that leads up to an epic transition to the devastating Protocol 10 climax. Scarecrow, Batman Arkham Asylum. While this isn't really much of a fight in the traditional sense, Scarecrow is worth putting on this list because of how unique it is. Players will experience Jonathan Crane's fear toxin for themselves as Batman is thrown into the nightmarish realm of dead friends, skelly mans, and a colossal Scarecrow. Of course, the biggest highlight is when the game pulls a Psycho Mantis and breaks the fourth wall, eventually leading to Scarecrow's demise. It's frightening, it's surprising, and it's loads of fun to experience even today.
How are you doing this?
Mr. Freeze, Batman Arkham City.
Give it to me.
I'm afraid I cannot do that, Batman. You have given me your last order.
Mr. Freeze isn't just the best boss character in a Batman game. He is one of the best boss fights in gaming history, and rightfully so. For every player, Mr. Freeze is the ultimate challenge in becoming the Dark Knight. It's just the two of you, sealed in his lab, and the only way out is to perform as many takedowns as you can. Here's the catch though, you cannot use the same takedown twice. Once you've used one method, Freeze ensures that you cannot use it again. What makes things even harder is that you have no access to your Wayne Tech data, which means there is no quick reference in the game for all of the takedowns. It's you and your knowledge against the AI. and maybe some cheats with your phone out so that you remember which takedowns can be done in what ways. And it's one of the few boss fights we'd gladly replay for hours on end.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.